What's up, guys? Hope you all are doing great. Today's video is going to be all about the 6-cylinder monster, the Honda Valkyrie Interstate, specifically the 1999 Honda Valkyrie Interstate. Now, this bike belongs to a friend of mine who's letting me keep it for a couple of weeks and experience it and kind of compare it to my own. I have the Tourer, which is slightly different than this having, being the Interstate, having the bat wing, etc., which we'll get into later. But before I even begin this video, I just want to rewind to the actual process of, receiving this bike, because this thing is an absolute behemoth. It is a massive, massive beast. The only other bike that I can think of when it comes to scale that's more intimidating than this are the Boss Hoss bikes, which are not 6-cylinder, but they're V8s. And those are kind of like unicorns. This is pretty rare, but those are more so unicorns, and they're just crazy, and I absolutely love them. But anyways, back to this. Let's just rewind to the process of receiving the bike, and we'll go from there. Beast. Cobra pipes. It'll be nice actually to compare this Valkyrie with my Valkyrie and compare the Cobra pipes, because we have the same pipes. He has a stage 1 jet kit. I think I have a stage 2 installed, or whatever the original Cobra jet kit is. That's what I have, but mine is no baffles, so it'll be nice to compare the sound of the with baffles on and the without baffles, so it'll be interesting. I will say this, I tried this bike and I absolutely love the sound with baffles. I like it without baffles, but it's absolutely monstrous. You need earplugs without baffles. Let's get this unloaded and yeah, give it a try. So this is the part where loading and unloading such a massive bike onto the ramp, onto the truck, used to be considered the sketchiest part for me, because watching all those videos on YouTube where the bikes either tip over or slide off or just slide the ramp from under them, I just didn't want to end up on one of those videos where I'm that guy that drops one of my bikes or someone else's bikes. But yeah, after doing this a while, actually I enjoy this process now. Obviously, there's a few precautionary tips, you have to go through, like the strap tied to the ramp so it doesn't slide off. But yeah, loading and unloading is just a fun thing to do now for me. And yeah, exciting. It's always exciting to see a new bike go onto the truck. Alright, so the Valkyrie Interstate has been cleaned up and polished and ready to be driven. But before that, just wanted to take a look at my Valkyrie, the Tourer. And this one's being converted into a muscle bike, basically, like a bobber style. And it's just absolutely mint. The mileage difference, is a little bit apparent on cosmetically, at least. Definitely mechanically, but you don't really notice it so much. These are Honda bikes, so a 20,000 mile bike, a 40,000, 60,000, if it's been well maintained and taken care of, it doesn't really matter. But I will say I love the subtle differences between the two. Not just the body and the plastics, like the bat wing over there, like that front fender, the fairing and all that stuff, but also the trunk and the back, which I will say is very, very useful for when you pick up things and try to get stuff. This one right here is not a 2-seater anymore, so this is just for pure driving pleasure, and I'm doing my best to lighten this one up as much as possible. So a lot of titanium parts, obviously, like these bolts are titanium. A couple of things that are going to go on here also for light and weight. A little bit of fenders removed already, but yeah, let's widen the angle. There we go. But yeah, this it's just awesome. These pipes, like looking at the age of the pipes, for example, the 3 pipes on the side and the 3 other pipes on the other side, compared to these 6 pipes. I mean, you can see it's got some dust on it, but there's no carbon buildup or anything even inside. It's just mint. Even the wheels have no buildup, no muck, no nothing. The chrome is absolutely almost untouched, I would say, on this bike. And because I went for a bobber setup, this is gonna be going to a custom bike shop pretty soon, where they're just gonna make sure that I installed these handlebars, you know, efficiently and correctly. I relocated the lights as well, getting a custom front fender that's a bobber style. I think that's coming from France. So yeah, this is gonna look kind of like a cafe racer, but a 6-cylinder cafe racer that's an absolute monster, like a real drag bike kind of. And again, you know, Honda Valkyries, they're not really built for speed. They're built to cruise, regardless if it's the Tourer or the Interstate. It's just the Interstate comes, you know, with a lot more gadgets, a lot more bells and whistles for cruising on the highway, on the Interstate, hence why it's called the Interstate. And yeah, that's it. I just took off the saddlebags. They're over there with the saddlebag holder as well, the bracket. And also there's optional air wings that come here. This one is an interesting style fairing because it looks like it's got some AC vents here, but I think these are just air. And the best thing about this bike is not the radio, not the speakers and all that stuff, but the actual cup holder you get, which is phenomenal. You get to put a drink or a juice or something and just cruise along and sip on it. But yeah, trunk space is awesome. I love that. And I love these retro lights on the back here. Such a cool design, this bike. I think the Honda Valkyrie really is a very, very underrated and cheap and affordable bike in today's terms, really. Like, I've driven bikes in the $20,000 range that are not even 20% the fun that this is for me. And it looks like, you know, a dad bike and all that stuff, you might call it, or an old man's bike. But I'm telling you, I am never driving this thing with flip-flops again or with soft sneakers, because I was surprised, and I'm always surprised, how much you can lean this bike. You can lean it to the point where this thing starts to scrape, and you don't want to do that. It's not made for that, but still, it just shows you how good and balanced this bike is. It gives you confidence to lean. And one time I did that wearing a soft shoe, and my leg was kind of sticking here, so I literally felt the tip of my shoe scrape the road aggressively, not just touch the road, but physically scrape it. So yeah, that's enough talk. I want to take this thing, take it for a spin. Look how good that looks. Just looks awesome. And again, I'm gonna, and further along in the video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compare the sounds between this one and the other one. This one they both have Cobra jets. This one has the baffles on the Cobra pipes, and that one does not. So gonna give you a very, very clear comparison between Valkyrie Cobra 6x6 pipes with baffles and without baffles. So yeah, I think it's just something to note down, because some people might find that the Cobra pipes are too loud without the baffles, and they really are. I've grown to really love the sound of this with the baffles, and thankfully I kept my baffles, so at any point I can just put them back. And the beauty of rejetting with Cobra jets is, with or without the baffles, it doesn't really make a difference that much. It's just the power output that differs. But once you put or remove the baffles, you're not going to need to rejet again, as long as you have the Cobra jets already installed. The main thing is just rejetting the whole bike once you get an aftermarket exhaust. One thing I will say about this is that the owner has installed a ridiculously loud horn here, which is great, because he said he's tired of people, you know, not seeing him. And trust me, this thing is loud enough, in my opinion. I'm not doing that to mine. I'm not changing the horn, but this one is just really, really loud, which on a bike is great. But honestly, the way I get someone's attention, if I need to clutch in and rev the engine, this makes such an aggressive sound that whoever's driving near you will definitely know you're there once you do that. So as the saying goes, loud exhaust save lives. I think it's kind of true. So here's something that matters to me. With the added long journey comfort features of the Interstate, you do lose some of that sportiness, and the main thing that is lost on the Interstate are the sporty gauges. I absolutely love the way that the gauges look on the Tourer. They just look like such a vintage race car gauge, and even their meters, like the way they are, the chrome and all that, it's just, you get two gauges, which is beautiful. You get the RPM gauge and you get the speed gauge. That's it. And of course, with the speed gauge, you get the odometer readings and all that stuff. But absolutely my favorite part about the Valkyrie, other than the 6-cylinder and the exhaust, are these analog gauges. Just fantastic and beautiful to look at. Really something that I love about the Valkyrie. The ironic thing right now is that that bike has 4 more cylinders than this bike, but only 2 less cylinders than that, and the exact same cylinders as that. So it's just interesting that a motorcycle like that has the same amount of cylinders as that truck. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is test drive the Valkyrie Interstate, and I want to see what this thing's got. I want to see what the difference is between this bike and my bike. So let's give it a try and see, you know, how I like it. guys, so that's it for today's video on this gorgeous Honda Valkyrie Interstate. This bike is really something special to me, and I still can't believe how many people still don't know what this bike is. You know, I get stopped all the time by other motorcyclists and just, you know, enthusiasts, and they always ask me like, what kind of Harley is this, or what kind of motorcycle is that? So that's something I like about this bike, is that it is pretty unique. The production units back then from 97 till 2003 were not that much, so it's not something that people see every day, and it is a massive bike. Like, this is a huge engine. I mean, compare it to the Harley where it's a V-twin, there's no engine coming out of the side. Well, this one, you have a massive block from here and there, and it's awesome. I just love the fact that this has 4 more cylinders more than this. But anyways, I you know, compared it to my Valkyrie, the Tourer. Definitely the Tourer is more aggressive, more of a muscle bike, especially when you decide to custom build these bikes, which brings me to the point of these bikes are a perfect platform to create an awesome bobber or a muscle bike or some kind of show bike, because you go to a lot of these bike shows and shops and you see custom bikes that have been modified. I think this really, like I said, the frame, the potential, the engine, the exhaust, you can, sky's the limit to how you can just be creative with building and customizing your own bike when it comes to this. That being said, if you don't want to do that, leaving them stock also is fantastic. I love them stock. So it's just a really wonderful bike, and just comparing it to the Tourer, it's like I said, Tourer is more aggressive. This one's more cruiser, more roadworthy. But that being said, underneath all the fancy you know, rear seat and trunk and saddlebags and the fairing and all that stuff, underneath all that, they are both the same bikes. So don't be discouraged if you find a good one for sale. Don't think that if you get an Interstate and you want a Tourer that you can't have that, or if you get the Tourer you can't have an Interstate. The only thing I will say is finding what you want in this day and age is usually best to get it the way you want it from the beginning, or at least as close as possible, because parts for this motorcycle are not cheap at all, and they're becoming more scarce. So, you know, I even get people contacting me from France, from Germany and stuff, to ask me if I have parts for sale for my Valkyrie. But yeah, I think if you find a good one in 2024, we are now, they're just as good as bikes as any other bike that I've driven, if not even better. The fact that this is a 6-cylinder, I hope, you know, they'll go up in value. So far, they're not going up like crazy, which I think makes it a really good buy right now, because these bikes just don't exist. They don't have the parts, they don't have the machining, they don't have anything to recreate this bike, and that's why I think, you know, they'll, if not go up like crazy, they'll definitely hold their value no matter the mileage and all that stuff, as long as they're in great condition. But yeah, really love these bikes. Don't want to keep yapping about it. Again, that's all for today's video. I really hope you guys, you know, enjoyed. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Ciao.